I always knew I could sing because I always did sing, but I just did it for my own pleasure or for Mom. I never knew I could make any money out of it until I just had to, and Mother got sick and she couldn't take care of us anymore, and I wandered down to 133rd Street in a little nightclub, and I told the man I was a dancer. I made an audition, and he told me I stunk and to go home. And the piano player says, well, can you sing? And I said, sure, I sing all the time. Who wants a singer? He said, well, go and sing. So I sang, and everybody loved me. I made about $40 in tips, and I got the job for $18 a week.
Though Billie Holiday's iconic voice has been imitated for decades, it remains a true original of the jazz age. Her haunting, melancholy music reflects a life filled with love and pain. Growing up in poverty, barely surviving on the streets of New York in the 1930s, and enduring years of substance abuse shaped Holiday's future and crafted a voice that could stop a person in their tracks. She is remembered for many hits that have been endlessly covered since her early death, the most haunting being the protest poem-turned-song Strange Fruit. Her music, with its unique cadence and moving lyrics, pays tribute to the life of Billie Holiday, an artist of incredible strength, resilience, and talent. But beneath the surface of her powerful performances, a hidden story lurks, waiting to be unveiled. Billie Holiday was born to a teen mom. Because she got pregnant at age 19, Sadie was kicked out of her parents' house in the Sandtown, Winchester neighborhood of Baltimore, Maryland, so she moved to Philadelphia. Billie's given name was Eleonora Fagan, but she chose her stage name based on movie star Billy Dove and her father, reportedly jazz musician Clarence Holiday. Unfortunately, her father was rarely around during her childhood, leaving Billie and her mother to struggle on their own. But this was just the beginning of a life filled with challenges and triumphs. At the age of 9, Billie was sent to the House of Good Shepherd, a reform school for African American girls. She was sent there for being absent from school too often and was sent back to live with her mother later that year. Sadly, within a year, Billie was sexually assaulted by one of her neighbors. She was only 10. For that, she was sent back to reform school. The House of Good Shepherd Reform School was known for its harsh punishments for even the smallest of mistakes or misbehavior. Her experience there was heartbreaking and left a lasting impression. It took Holiday a while to move past her horrific time spent there. She would wake up from dreams about the school, screaming for years after she left. In 1928, Billie and her mother relocated from Baltimore, Maryland to New York City. The move proved challenging as Billie was soon raped for the second time, with her attacker receiving only a 3-month jail sentence. Lacking a substantial education, Holiday did whatever was necessary to survive. She turned to selling her body and supported herself that way for 3 years before eventually being arrested for solicitation and sent to a woman's prison. She would have been around 16 at the time. After being released from jail, Holiday needed a job. She went to a club called the Log Cabin to apply for a position as a dancer, but she soon discovered she had applied for the wrong role. As she tells it, "Told him I was a dancer. He said to dance. I tried it. He said I stunk. I told him I could sing. He said sing. I sang." The customers stopped drinking. She was hired as a singer for $18 per week and began to perform in other clubs around Harlem. But little did she know, her journey was about to take an unexpected turn. In the mid-1930s, Billie Holiday broke barriers by becoming one of the first black female singers to work with a white orchestra. This was highly controversial at the time. On one occasion, while performing with a black orchestra, a venue manager demanded she darken her light skin to avoid upsetting people who mistakenly thought a white woman was singing with a black band. Holiday and her band faced constant challenges with segregation while on tour. She later recalled that it was often difficult to find a restaurant where the entire band could dine together. The song "Strange Fruit" originated from a poem written by Abel Meeropol, a Jewish teacher from the Bronx, as a protest against the 1930 lynching of Thomas Shipp and Abram Smith in Indiana. Meeropol later set the poem to music and performed it at protests. In 1939, Billie Holiday gave the first public performance of "Strange Fruit." Despite Columbia Records, her label at the time, showing no interest in recording it, she found support from Commodore Records. The song quickly became one of her most iconic pieces, resonating deeply with listeners. However, Holiday lamented that some audiences failed to grasp its powerful message, often requesting "that sexy song about the people swinging." Depending on the source, Billie Holiday's first husband, Jimmy Monroe, was known for either smoking opium or having other substance habits. Though these substances may have subtle differences, they had a similar impact on her life. Monroe, a fellow musician and trombone player, benefited from Holiday's rising success, which allowed her to support both of them with their substance habits. Despite her efforts, their marriage ended in less than 3 years. The death of her mother, Sadie, in 1945 marked a deeply traumatic period in Holiday's life. The pain of her loss pushed her deeper into the abyss of substance use. Already a heavy drinker for years, her grief triggered a steady downward spiral that would cast a shadow over her career for years to come. But little did she know the darkest moments were yet to unfold. Billie's struggles with substance abuse began quietly in the early 1940s and reached a critical juncture in 1947 when she was arrested for possession. Opting for rehabilitation, she chose a federal center in Virginia, where she committed to a year-long program in hopes of overcoming habits that threatened her career. In the 1947 film New Orleans, released shortly before Billie's incarceration for substance use, she starred alongside Louis Armstrong. The romantic musical featured their characters falling in love, marking a significant achievement for Billie, who had long admired the idea of sharing the screen with Armstrong. However, it was a bittersweet moment as she was cast in the role of a maid, a portrayal that lacked the dignity she desired. After her arrest and rehabilitation, Billie returned to New York eager to perform, but faced a significant obstacle. Her cabaret card had been revoked due to her substance conviction. This license was essential for performing in venues serving alcohol. Despite this setback, she continued to grace grand stages like Carnegie Hall and embarked on tours across Europe. Yet it was the nightclubs of her youth, where she had honed her craft, that remained closest to her heart. In 1957, Holiday married Louis McKay in Mexico. Prior to him, she had been involved with several less-than-romantic, substance-addicted men, and McKay proved to be another who took advantage of her. Rumors circulated that he was tied to the mafia and aimed to leverage her name for a recording studio venture. Their marriage endured until Holiday's death, just 2 years later. In 1959, Billie Holiday was hospitalized due to liver and heart complications resulting from years of substance abuse. Adding to her plight, she was arrested for substance possession while in her hospital bed and placed under bed arrest for an entire month before her death. Throughout this ordeal, a guard stationed outside her room confiscated her flowers, gifts, and even her record player. She passed away on July 17, 1959, at the age of 44. Arguably the most famous music venue in the world, Carnegie Hall boasts a formidable reputation and is a prestigious stage for any artist. Billie, with her extraordinary talent, graced its halls numerous times throughout her career. Her first performance there in 1948 was met with a sold-out crowd and earned her not 1, not 2, but 3 curtain calls. But it was in 1956, just a few years before her death, that she returned to Carnegie Hall to promote her autobiography, Lady Sings the Blues. Over 2 back-to-back concerts, she mesmerized sold-out audiences, a remarkable achievement for any artist. Yet, for Billie, a black woman performing during segregation, this moment held even deeper significance. In 1972, Lady Sings the Blues premiered, based on Billie Holiday's autobiography of the same name. Starring Diana Ross as Billie Holiday, the film grossed over $9 million in North America by 1973, equivalent to more than $50 million today, with a worldwide box office closer to $112 million in today's terms. It garnered 5 Academy Award nominations, including Best Actress for Diana Ross, though none were ultimately won. Despite this, Ross received widespread acclaim for her portrayal, notably praised by Roger Ebert. When I first heard Diana Ross was cast as Billie Holiday, I was skeptical. I knew she could sing, though not quite like Billie Holiday, and certainly not in the same style. Yet within the first few minutes of Lady Sings the Blues, any doubts I had were dispelled. Ross delivered a compelling, emotionally resonant performance that ranks among the finest of 1972.